Oh, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well and hope you're keeping safe. Today is the day that we're going to watch some 10 dumbest robberies ever. Further ado, please smash that thumbs up and subscribe button and let's crack on with the video.
Be rescued after a dramatic fail to the dumbest pair of bank robbers in history and the crazy way they got caught. Here are 10 of the dumbest robberies ever.
Alright, let's see what we can find, or actually know.
Number 10. The ID Bandit. Robbing a bank is a pretty dumb idea. Even more dumb is leaving behind your state ID after asking for the money. This ridiculous and foolish crime went down when an armed bank robber named Edner Flores walked into a Chicago bank and demanded $10,000 in cash. He strolled through the bank doors just before noon on a Monday, dressed in a hoodie and a baseball cap. And of course, a surgical mask because of COVID-19. When Flores got to the teller, he handed her a deposit ticket with the note that said the day's date, the amount he wanted given to him, and the word armed, suggesting he had a gun on him. At this point, the teller realized she was being robbed, and she activated the silent alarm and asked the robber if he wanted to make a withdrawal. The teller then asked him to give her either an ATM card or an ID card so that she could hand over the money. The robber then stupidly gave the woman his ID, identifying himself for future evidence. But in the end, it didn't even matter. Within just a couple minutes, police walked into the bank, stood directly behind the bank robber, who had still been waiting for his money, and they arrested him right there. In Spain, a senseless dummy decided they were gonna rob a couple of supermarkets. As if robbing one supermarket wasn't stupid enough, this guy thought he would hit a whole chain of them. He robbed two local supermarkets in Fuengirola, about 30 minutes apart. During the robberies, he flashed his knife and demanded that the cashiers hand him the contents of their registers. The police were quick to act. They saw the man on captured security footage and went to hunt him down. While driving down the street, police saw someone who looked just like the robber in the video. They pulled up to him with their patrol car, and before the police could even question him, he blurted out, "Officers, I haven't robbed any supermarkets." This was obviously a dead giveaway, seeing as the cops hadn't even asked him if he had been robbing supermarkets. The guy gave himself up like a chump.
Is that you don't do that. When you're robbing something, you don't go straight away saying, "Oh, I haven't robbed any supermarkets," because the police will go, "Okay, well, clearly you have robbed something because we didn't even ask that question in the first place." Well, you might as well just give yourself up. So, pretty of a dummy.
Had been used to rob the supermarkets. That's case closed. Number 8. The Selfie Burglar. A man named Ashley Keese decided that he was going to burglarize somebody's house. This is a very rude thing to do, and it's one of the dumbest crimes that a person can commit. But Ashley took the stupidity to an unrealistic level. While in the middle of burglarizing the victim's house, this guy took a selfie of himself in the mirror with a stolen SIM card. He then sent the picture of himself in the houses he was stealing from to the colleagues of the house's owner. Of course, one of the victim's friends was suspicious and called the police, and they arrested Ashley at his house the day following the burglary. And at this point, you're probably wondering why he would send those photos to someone who was clearly going to snitch on him. Well, here's the deal. A spokesperson from the South Yorkshire Police said that Ashley had taken the selfie and then posted it onto his WhatsApp. But because he had used a SIM card that he stole from the property, the picture was somehow seen by all the work colleagues of the victim. It was a complete disaster for this stupid criminal who otherwise may have made off with around $30,000 in goods, including an Audi A4. On a scale of 1 to 10, how dumb was that guy? Prologue. In Johannesburg, a rather daft criminal was foiled while trying to steal a car because of its auto lock function. Nobody has ever claimed that car thieves are smart. It doesn't take a genius to jiggle a lock and start an engine. The car's owner went to take care of some business and left the car parked outside. And even though the criminal in this case was clever enough to use a jamming device to access the car, he didn't have the foresight to think that maybe the new BMW 3 Series had some tricks of its own. The criminal got into the car, closed the door, and then couldn't get the car moving. He tried to bail but found that the auto lock features had trapped him and he couldn't get out. The guy ended up sitting inside of the car for over an hour and a half before he was finally let out by the car's owner and the police who had arrived on the scene. And of course, pedestrians had figured out what was going on and crowded around the car to point and laugh. Number 6. Evidence left behind.
It's like pretty much the Teslas now, because I've So actually, someone told me with the Teslas, like they have a camera around the whole car. So for instance, if you had an accident or if you was going to steal a Tesla, straight away you'll get spotted. Not even a doubt. There's cameras all over the place around that car. It's crazy how technology these days are rising up and other things are rising down. God, wow, cars these days. It's crazy. Next minute, and in the future, we'll be driving hover cars instead of being on the road.
A very foolish armed robber decided to hit a gambling den, but was subsequently caught by police after he made the incredibly dumb decision of leaving his resume at the scene of the crime. The 26-year-old man robbed the Paddy store in Birmingham in the UK, wearing a hood and a mask. He pulled out a gun and demanded cash, and everything might have gone smoothly except for the fact that he had previously dropped off a resume with the manager. The security footage of him leaving the store without his mask on linked him to the resume, and police caught him pretty soon after. They even had his phone number and home address.
Oh my word. Like, people these days are really, really dumb of stealing stuff. Like, why? I personally, myself, I would never ever steal, but it's just watching this is fucking ridiculous. It is so ridiculous.
And that must have really sucked for the robber, who had managed to get around $21,000 in cash from the safe. If not for his resume, he may have gotten away with it. Number 5. Dumb bank robbers. John Mogan II has been labeled the world's dumbest criminal. This evil, not-so-much genius robbed the savings bank in Pickaway County and then proceeded to post pictures of himself holding up the loot he had stolen from the bank all over Facebook. After posting evidence of his heist, he ended up getting arrested and being sent to prison. He was sentenced to 3 years by Judge P. Randall Neese in order to pay back the $6,430 he had stolen.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and his driver was also sentenced to prison. His girlfriend had driven the getaway vehicle, and she too was captured and then charged with complicity in the theft. She only had to serve 2 years, but she also had to help her criminal boyfriend repay the money. And to make matters even worse for John and his girlfriend, he was already well known to the authorities in the area and was easily recognizable because he had some very specific tattoos all over his face and neck. Posting the pictures online of his face, his tattoos, and his stack of cash was arguably the stupidest thing he could have possibly done. In Connecticut, 2 bank robbers tried to pull off the most unsuccessful heist in history.
Wait. I want to go back. Just here. What's the point having this across your face? What's the point? Like, clearly your face is shown by the camera. Absolutely stupid. Why wear a pair of tights that is so see-through?
Connecticut, 2 bank robbers tried to pull off the most unsuccessful heist in history. They were probably thinking that they were pulling some Ocean's 11 type stuff, but they were really just dumb. The wannabe bank robbers phoned the People's Bank in Fairfield and gave them a warning that they would be coming and that they wanted $100,000 in large bills ready. Otherwise, there would be a bloodbath. Obviously, the bank employee who had answered the phone hung up and then immediately called 911. The bank then, of course, initiated a lockdown, and police quickly arrived at the scene to wait for the robbers. Detective Lieutenant Michael Gagne of the Fairfield, Connecticut Police Department said, "I've heard of drive-up robberies where they rob the bank via drive-up windows, but I've never had somebody call ahead and say, 'Get the money, we're coming.'" But things get even dumber. At the same time that the one bank robber was on the phone, his accomplice was inside the bank waiting. He was planning to wait until they had gathered the money, at which point he would pick it up and leave. Of course, it really didn't work out that way. After the accomplice approached the teller, he handed her a note asking for the same amount of money that was requested in the call. Gagne said after passing the note and collecting only $900, the suspect kindly asked to be let out of the bank. By this time, patrol cars had already arrived at the scene. The suspect walked out of the bank, tried to run to the car that was waiting for him, and both were immediately arrested and charged with first-degree robbery and threatening in the first degree. Gagne added in his statement that the robbers insisted that the money they were picking up not be put in a dye pack. Their wishes were obviously not followed, and the bag of cash exploded in dye when one of the suspects threw it on the ground. Gagne said, "We were all kind of cracking up with the call-ahead aspect of it. Definitely unusual technique."
Pretty much.
Number 3,
that is
lost
very
weapon.
unusual.
Imagine being such a poorly skilled robber that you throw your gun at the person you're trying to rob. This is exactly what happened in Colorado when a robber wearing a cap and sunglasses entered an e-cigarette store in Aurora, pulled out his gun, and tried to point it at the lady behind the counter, only to drop his weapon right in her hands. The robber tried to grab it back, but it was too late. He had no choice but to flee back out the front door. But he was so poorly prepared that he didn't even seem to have a belt on, and his pants kept falling down as he tried to escape. It was the most embarrassing robbery ever captured on video. And the footage was even released to the public by the Aurora Police Department, who at the time of the report were still trying to find the worst robber in all of Colorado. Number 2, hanging by a ledge. A burglar in China is really not the sharpest tool in the shed. He got into some seriously hot water after failing to break into an apartment building. Nobody's quite sure what was going on inside this guy's head, but he scaled the side of an apartment block, thinking he could squeeze himself through one of the open windows. This guy was really trying to do some Spider-Man-style burglaries, but in the end, he couldn't fit through the windows. And he got stuck with half his body dangling 5 stories above the concrete. He had to hang there and wait completely helpless until fire rescue showed up to get him.
He's got a chainsaw! He's got a chainsaw! He's just thinking, I'm gonna go up there and slice him in half. You're a dumbass, aren't you? Oh my god. He's brought a chainsaw, that's funny.
Get him free. He was so stuck that it took rescue workers at least 30 minutes to pull him onto the building.
Oh god.
At which time he was immediately handed off to the police, though unfortunately we don't know what charges were ever laid against him. Number 1, the topless crook. A shirtless young man named Terry Leach was recently arrested for an insanely stupid crime. This topless guy was caught on camera in the middle of the afternoon trying to throw a parcel full of drugs over a prison wall.
Why?
He had a stash of about $2,000 worth of ecstasy, marijuana, steroids, and other miscellaneous items, and he was caught red-handed trying to fling them over the outer wall of a prison in the UK. And he was spotted almost immediately by an officer watching the live security footage. He could be seen looking around suspiciously, hiding in bushes, and trying to get his bag of drugs over the wall and into the courtyard beyond. Of course, this only went on for a few minutes before officers went outside and arrested him. And to be quite honest, he was probably on the very drugs that he was trying to throw into the prison. After all, there is no other logical reason for getting half naked and trying to throw something over a prison wall. I mean, at least do it at night. According to the report from MSN, Terry had also been part of a gang that trafficked illegal goods into prisons and jails using drones. The gang would use a drone to either drop illegal substances somewhere into the prison, or they would fly the drone directly up to the inmate's window and drop off the goods personally, like an illegal delivery service. Thanks for watching.
Wow. I mean, seriously, 10 dumbest robberies ever. That is just so ridiculous. I would never ever steal, and I would never ever do what they are doing. It is stupid. I don't know why people steal in the first place. It's ridiculous. Obviously you're gonna get caught, and obviously you're gonna basically be in prison for ages. People in this world are very, very stupid. But if you've learned something today, please smash that thumbs up and subscribe button, and I will keep watching the world's list on his channel. Fantastic. Keep up with your work, my friend. I'll continue reacting to your videos. I mean, seriously, really check his YouTube out, which is just here. That's it. Check his YouTube out, which is here, and you pretty much learn a lot of stuff. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. Hope you take care and hope you have a fantastic weekend. Bye.
My way.